Hello and welcome to the channel. We'll talk about all things card games and chill with friends. My name is Liam and today I want to share with you my Chloe Louis deck profile. Now if you are new to the channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button, and if you enjoyed this video, please let me know by hitting that like button. Check out my other socials, links down in the description, and if you want to support the channel as well even further, please consider becoming a member and hitting that join button down below. But let's jump straight in. Now in today's video, I've got another set 2 deck profile for you, and this time I'm going to be covering Chloe Louis. Now this deck is an oddball. It has the potential to do extremely well and is a deck that you always have to be super aware of. However, luck must be on your side because we like to gamble when we are playing the Holoc slots, which we'll come to that later on. I actually ranked this quite high in my tier list, and maybe I ranked it a little too high because the unpredictability of the deck and the extremely high skill level in order to play this deck efficiently and correctly is wild. But it is one of those decks that if it can be learnt and you can get it down really well, it is a deck that you absolutely must be careful of, because this can win a game before you even realize it. But without further ado, let's jump into this deck profile. Starting off with the Oshi, we of course run the Sakamata Chloe. 6 life, always a good thing, 6 life. The Oshi skill for 1 holo power, Poi allows you to look at the top 3 cards of your deck, and you either put them back on top of your deck in any order you like, or you send all 3 of those to the archive. The reason why this is important, we'll come to later, but basically there are situations where you either want to make sure you're stacking the top of your deck, or you are getting through your deck as quickly as possible to get to the stack that you know at the bottom of your deck. You have got the SP Oshi skill as well for 3 holo power life reset button, which allows you to once per game, you have to count the number of cards in your hand, and then you return all the cards in your hand and all of the holo mems in your archive back to your deck, shuffle your deck, and then draw the same amount of cards as you put into your deck from your hand. It's very rare that you use the SP Oshi skill, to be honest, because you are basically trying to go for a more explosive finish and capitalizing on using the Poi Oshi skill basically every turn. But it is a really interesting Oshi, and the fact that it's 6 life just gives you that little more time to set up and do your stacking before just randomly losing. So yeah, 6 life is really huge for this. In terms of your cheer deck, you run 16 of the blue cheers, and of course I'm going to flex my my Ukayus, and I still need more. Please give me more. So 16 of the blue cheers and 4 red cheer, because we do occasionally want a red cheer for the Louis engine. And that's that. Let's get into the main deck itself. Moving on to our holo mems, and you'll see by this big stack we run a lot of holo mems. Starting off with the Chloe, we run 3, 6, 9, 11 copies of her unlimited debut. There is a reason that this unlimited debut is one of the more expensive. One, because in the Chloe deck you need a lot of them. If you're running pure Chloe, I think you need like nearly 18 or 20 of these, which is wild. But in this deck you do get away with running just 11 in my opinion. And it's a very good card as well. Again, it goes into the cheer ramp engine, into other decks that need just a vanilla cheer ramp engine basically. This card is a very expensive card for a common, but it makes sense as to why. It's 110 HP, 30 damage. Again, it's more than the usual, which is kind of nice. It's got 10 extra HP than you would expect on a 30 damage base holo mem for debut unlimited. But yeah, we run 11 copies of this. We also run 2 copies of the collab effect Sakamata Chloe. Now, some people only run 1 copy of this and run an extra one of these. That's fine, that's up to you. I personally like running 2 copies of this because the collab effect is quite nice. So on collab, you may look at the top 3 cards of your deck, add a 2nd bloom or higher, or 2nd bloom holo mem amongst those, add it to your hand and put the rest to your bottom of the deck in any order. So 1, you get the top 3 checks to get a 2nd, which potentially gives you a plus. Also, you get to put cards to the bottom of your deck which you can start doing your stacks with. Basically, you want to try and stack as many of your debuts together as much as possible, and ideally in multiples of 3. And knowing that and knowing how to manage your stacks and knowing when to collab to make sure you get dead cards out of your deck when it gets to that point of the deck makes this deck so difficult to play. 60 HP, it's got a 20 damage art. We don't really care for that, we basically care for the collab effect of this card. Moving on to first blooms, we run 4 copies of the Cheer Ramp Chloe. Again, 110 HP on bloom. Look at the top 3 cards of your cheer deck. Choose one of those cheers, attach it to any of your Holomem, and put the rest to the bottom of your cheer deck in any order. 30 damage on 110 HP. It's pretty good. Like, we run it for the Cheer Ramp. It's just a very good card. We then run 2 copies even of the vanilla Sakamata Chloe. 160 HP, which is this is the Holomem that you ideally want to go into your center at the very beginning of the game, then prepare to go into your second, just so it doesn't go down. And it does 60 damage for 1 blue, 1 colorless. It's a decent amount of damage on a first bloom with 160 HP. In fact, again, it is slightly higher than what you would expect. For a vanilla 160 HP first bloom, you would expect to see 50 damage. Look at Rainier, look at Azki. Literally, they both have that. This one, for a colored cheer, the colorless cheer, for 160 HP, it does an extra 10 damage. Why?
I'm not fun.
I don't know why, but it does, and that's good. So yeah, we do run 2 copies of this. We also run 1 copy of this Sakamata Chloe. It has 130 HP with the gift effect, which will come back to the gift effects, but you need to explain the art first. So the art, for 1 blue, 1 colorless Holo X slot, does 20 plus damage, and then you may reveal the top 3 cards of your deck, and then it gains 20 damage for each Holomem revealed, and then you archive the cards that were revealed. But then the gift effect says that when you use this Holomem's Holo X slots art, if you reveal a support card amongst those cards, you can add up to 1 support card from your hand. So it's kind of neat. It's not only a plus of a support card, but it's also potentially doing 80 damage, which is kind of neat. Finally, we run 3 copies of second bloom Sakamata Chloe. Again, I'll start with the art first here. So 100 damage with a plus 50 to white. Sorry, Kanata. Sorry, Promise. Sorry, Fubuki. With 2 blue cheer and 1 colorless cheer requirement, you may reveal the top 3 cards of your deck, and then this art gain plus 20 damage for each Holomem revealed, and then archive. So it's exactly the same art basically, just with 100 base instead of 20 base. But it's the gift effect which makes it important. It's gift, the top tier, hell yeah. Basically, when you use this art's Holo X slots, if you happen to reveal Holomem with all of the same bloom level, your opponent loses a life. That does not matter if the Holomem you are attacking is downed. They will just take a life because you have revealed 3 Holomem of the same bloom level. Whether that be debut, whether that be first, whether it be second. So, yeah, this card could just randomly take a life, even without actually downing anything. And that's what makes Sakamata Chloe so incredibly scary, if you can track your deck and the cards going to the bottom of your deck. Now, at the moment, we haven't seen many cards that put cards to the bottom of your deck. Obviously, we've seen the Chloe collab effect, but that's the only one that's putting cards from your main deck to the bottom of your deck. It's the supports of this deck that help you get the other cards to the bottom of your deck, and then it's also the other Holomems of this deck, which helps you speed through your main deck. But that is it for the Chloe line. In terms of our Louis line, we run 7 Louis Unlimited debuts. Again, you could change this a little bit, maybe run 6 of this and an extra Chloe. Kind of up to you. This is probably the cheaper way of doing it because the Louis are not that expensive in comparison to the Chloes. But if you've got extra Chloes, I'm sure you can put extra Chloes in there. Don't see why not. But we do run 7 of this, and again, this is where we see the 100 HP and 30 damage on the art. Whatever reason, Chloe just has an extra 10 HP. I don't know why. We do run 7 copies of that. Then first bloom, we run 4 copies of the Louis first bloom idol, 100 HP again. On bloom, if it is bloomed from a debut, you get to discard a card from your hand, and if you do, draw 2 cards. So maybe that's why we do run a few more Louis, just because you need to get this off. You do have to bloom onto a debut. If you do want to get that ditch 1, draw 2, which again speeds you through your deck, which is really important. Yeah, 40 damage attack if you ever need to for colorless cheer, which is kind of nice. Again, it's very rare we're going to be attacking with this. We then run 4 copies of the second bloom Louis, 190 HP, has a bloom effect that lets you return up to 2 Holo X Holomems from your archive to your hand. So you're going to be discarding quite a bit. You're going to be sending cards to the archive because of the Chloe. You're going to be discarding cards because of the Louis. You're going to be discarded from this Chloe as well. Like, there are loads of ways that your holomems will end up to your archive. So sometimes just bringing your hand back up is kind of nice. So we do run 4 copies of this to basically ensure that you get the cards you need, especially if like you hit your seconds on some of the mills, or if you hit the your blooming ability cards. This card is really, really good to be able to recycle those. It does have an art for 2 red and 1 colorless for 60 damage, and then you can archive up to 5 cards from your hand, and then for each card mill discarded, you can deal 20 special damage to your opponent's center or collab. That is separate. It does not increase the arts damage of the main Hawkgrave. It actually is a separate instance of special damage. So you could go 60 damage into center and then up to 100 damage into collab, or vice versa, or you could do or you could stack it into one and go 160 damage max. So you've got some good flexibility with this Louis. It's very, very difficult to get this Louis off because you are running such a low red cheer count. You are mainly using this for the bloom effect. You are not really using this for the art, but there are situations where it's useful, which is why we do run the red cheer just in case. With that, we've got some counting to do. We've got 20 debuts, which is a lot of debuts considering that, you know, your average deck will have between 13 and 15, maybe 16. So this is 20 debut holomem. We also run 11 firsts, and we also run 7 seconds. As you can see, that is a lot of holomem. In fact, it is 38 holomem. We do have very limited slots for our support, and each of these are picked for a specific reason. First of all, of course, we have Hadasaki Nodaka. Draw 3 cards. It keeps your hand size up. It's, like we said in most decks, it's basically a 4-of in nearly every deck right now. You still run this just to maintain your hand size. It's a good card. We then run 4 copies of the Holo X event. Now, those who don't know what this is, it's basically one of those gravity events where you've got to have 6 less cards in your hand to actually play it, ignoring this card. And then you look at the top 4 cards of your deck, and any Holo X holomems that you decide to reveal, you may add those to your hand and then put the rest at the bottom of your deck. Now, mention the wording of that. You can reveal any number of Holo X. You do not have to reveal all Holo X that you look at in that top 4. So what you can do with this very, very carefully and cleverly is go, cool, here's my top 4. Oh, I see 3 debuts and a first. I'll add the first. I'll put the 3 debuts to the bottom of my deck. That means that you've stacked basically one of the things for your Chloe for the top tier, hell yeah, for the gift effect. You just stack that ready. So at some point you know where that is in your deck. You track where that is in your deck, and when you know that those 3 cards are at the top of your deck, you go down and smack with Chloe second, and you guarantee taking a life for no real good reason. So Holo X is a very, very, very specific pick. Not only that as well, you are running a massive number of holomems with obviously all with the Holo X tag. So if you do need to just add 4 cards, cool. This will guarantee the 4 cards you need to add. Yeah, Holo X is a really, really good support for this deck, and we do run it as a 4-of. We then run 3 copies of Sub PC. Now, I want to run it as a 4-of, and I could, this last card in here, I could replace with a 4 for this. You could. The issue is the deck, like the actual like space in the deck is so tight. You can't afford to run a 4th one, with, at least with how I've built this. But we do run 3 copies because, again, it is a look at top 5 cards of your deck. Choose 1 limited amongst those if you want to, and reveal it to your opponent, add it to your hand, and then put the rest of those cards to the bottom of your deck in any order. Again, so that means your chance of revealing debuts and going, cool, here's 3-4 debuts in this top 5. I'll take the plus from the limited, and all these debuts I'm going to stack to the bottom, and I know where they are. And you can, even if you see like 3 debuts in a first, but you know that you put 3 debuts before it, you could then technically stack the first on top of this, do your ping for this, you would then draw for your next turn, and then you know that the next 3 cards of that bottom of the deck are also 3 debuts. So you can very, very tactically decide where you want to do this. Or if you know you're going to be going to 2 second Chloe, you can go, cool, I'm going to put that first bloom at the bottom of the stack, and then go, cool, I'm going to ping for the first Chloe, cool, 3 debuts. Ping with the second Chloe, ping. Oh, cool, another life. For no real reason. This is why the deck is such a challenge to play. You've got to keep an eye and keep track of so many things. You know, if you're going to have 2 second Chloes on the stage, if you're only going to have the 1, When are you going to like use the Holo X slots, and then when are you going to draw? It's such a difficult deck to play. I still have not got my head around it, but I think this is the way to play it. But the last card we run one copy of So That Makes You My Enemy. Again, there are situations where it's like, okay, your opponent's at 2 life. I know the top 3 cards on my deck are going to hit the same bloom level, therefore you will take a life. Let me just So That Makes You My Enemy, so that I bring out something that's weak from your backstage and also down it. So we're going to do 160 damage. So we're going to guarantee the actual down, which means you'll lose a life. And we'll also lose a life because of the gift effect. And that's why you will run this card. I would love to run this as a 2-of, because that is a very common line that happens with this deck. However, space is a thing. You cannot afford to reduce any of your debuts. As much as there's so many of them, you go, oh, I'm going to clog debuts. Sure, but you need columns of the same bloom level in order to maximize your chances of your Chloe gift effect. So that is really, really important. So we are restricted on what we can actually run on our limited slots, or on our support slots. So we do only run 12 support cards, of which 9 of those are limited and 3 non-limited. But that is the deck. What do you think? Would you make any changes yourself? Would you change out these Polo effect Chloe? Would you not run the Louis line at all and just run Chloe? There are arguments for both. I'm super interested to hear what you think. Let me know in the comments below. But that is this deck profile. With that, that is the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. Again, if you are new here, please consider hitting that subscribe button. And if you enjoyed this video, please let me know by hitting that like button. Check out my other socials, links down in the description. And if you want to support the channel even further, please consider becoming a member and hitting that join button down below. But apart from that, thank you so much for watching. I'm glad you're enjoying these deck profiles, and there are plenty more to come. See you in the next one.